Change your position a little. Anyway, so I had a few questions. I mean, first of all, I loved your talk.
Thank you.
Who didn't? You're a great speaker. One of the things that struck me, you talked a lot about the importance of offering something that's both unique and valuable.
Yeah.
In an era where the world is so connected and everybody hears about new ideas all the time, how can you really be unique?
Well, there are various qualities. I mean, one is price. I mean, believe it or not, that is a variable you can play, right? So there's price. There's obviously feature sets, and it is a challenge. But I don't know what else can I say? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't believe you can be unique, arguably you shouldn't even try. I mean, that's like a non-starter. I guess you could.
I mean, maybe part of the question is how unique is unique. I mean, how niche is niche.
Well, it's as unique as you believe in your mind, right? And so.
And as you can convince other people.
Well, that helps too. Yes.
Yeah.
So you could take a real commodity, but salt, and but if you say this is organic salt from Hawaiian seawater,
right?
At some point it's still sodium chloride, right?
So creating value, like your Nike example.
Yeah, I mean that's
creating value from
probably made in the same factory by the same people from the same materials. And the second to the last step, you either put a swoosh or you put something else, right?
Which comes back to the branding issue.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love that you mentioned. I'm a big usability geek, and the whole notion of making things user friendly. And yet I get. When I look at what is happening with Apple now, I see that perhaps they're losing some of that focus.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So well, first of all, disclosure, I help Motorola now, so.
So you got a different bias.
Yeah. But I happen to think that Android is better than iOS.
Really?
In many ways, yeah.
Okay.
And
what about the Windows Phone?
I don't count that.
Okay, fair.
But it's difficult. The thing with Apple was when Steve was there, it was so efficient, right? Because the org chart was Steve, 25,000 direct reports.
Yes.
Right? And so.
How did he do that? How did he do that?
Well, when I was there,
yes.
Which is maybe he's evolved or he evolved.
Yeah.
He ruled by fear.
Yes.
So, everything you heard about HR, about, meeting with people and helping them document and realize their goals and giving them feedback, he did nothing like that. When I worked there, I lived in fear that he would tell me that I was a piece of shit in front of 25 other people in the meeting. That's a very motivating thing. Now, there's a key element to that, which is, I think many managers are insensitive enough to do that. The problem is they don't have the good taste and judgment to know when it's shit. That's the difference. So when Steve said you did something that was a piece of shit, it really was a piece of shit. And on the other hand, if he told you you did great work, it really was great. Whereas I think many people work for others who call shit great and call great shit. So it's
But I mean, that is interesting though that somebody, so basically because people had so much respect for his ability, even though he
I didn't say respect, I said fear.
Okay, fair enough. My mom and I used to have that argument. She'd always say, it's important my kids respect me, and I said, no, I think what you're asking for is obey. We still debate that one.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've become increasingly interested in is the need for processes internally if you want to deliver on your external marketing.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you've got some thoughts about how companies can or should be structuring more effectively. And I mean, I know Apple is obviously not a great example. Okay.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's not my bag. I am more of the, let it rip mentality. The don't worry, be crappy mentality.
Okay.
So I'd rather ship too early than ship too late. So I really do believe in shipping. I think the key is not when you ship, the key is how fast can you revise.
Right.
That's the hard part.
And how you switch from being confident in your idea to listening.
Yeah, to go from naysaying to, from denial to listening. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a hard switch.
Absolutely. One of the things in Canada that's very frustrating is Canadian companies have been very reluctant to embrace e-commerce and the whole digital world. What advice would you offer, particularly given in Canada, you know, they keep talking about, well, shipping costs too much, blah, blah, blah.
To ship from Canada, within Canada?
Within Canada as well as to ship to the United States or elsewhere.
Oh.
Now, there are some Canadian companies that are succeeding, though. What would be your comments to Canadian businesses?
I don't know. It seems like that's an opportunity, right? Think of the extreme, which is probably the United States Zappos. So Zappos pay shipping both ways.
Yes.
Both ways.
Yeah.
How can they?
And yet they pulled out of Canada. They pulled out of Canada because of shipping houses.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, then. Right, wrong.
We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Really? Why is it so expensive?
Primarily it's been lack of competition. Really. That's starting to change.
Is it the Canadian Post has an exclusive?
They have a very dominant position. They are finally starting to become a little willing to
But that's a government entity, right?
It's a crown corporation, so it's technically separate now.
But in the United States, I mean, there was obviously the U.S. Postal Service, right? And FedEx and UPS.
They managed to make it,
I
but...
don't know. Maybe Canadians are too nice.
Well, actually comment on that too, because that's the other thing is we hear a lot about Canadian personality as not being aggressive enough, risk-taking enough.
Well, except in playing hockey, but yeah.
So we need to apply hockey standards to go out there and fight.
Dig it out of the corners, yes.
Exactly. Any final words of advice that you would offer to Canadian businesses?
I think the key is to prototype fast and get it out.
Okay.
Not try to make this perfect product.
Right.
I see so many people just delaying it so long. If you're trying to make something perfect, just get it out. Because you'll learn so much more from real people than sitting around and cogitating.
But what about the risk if you put out something really crappy that...
Fix it fast. I mean, I'm not saying put out pure crap.
No, I know. But does it not make sense then to be a follower rather than a leader? Because
you could make that case. I mean, you could make the case that Windows followed Macintosh and became much larger than Macintosh. That is a strategy. That's a very viable strategy. Not one that's attractive to me, but it is,
it's not as exciting from an entrepreneurial perspective.
Be the Canadian version of Facebook. I mean, I suppose. I would hope people would aspire to greater things than being a fast second.
Yeah, exactly. So apart from turning down Yahoo, what's been the most frustrating or difficult decision you've made in your life?
Well, I also quit Apple twice. If I had stayed there,
yeah, okay.
That'd be a whole other story too.
Yeah.
So, but, what are you going to do?
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.